The Government Minister this morning, Therese Coffey, of course, the Secretary of State for Work and Pensions. Hello.
Good morning.
It's lovely to see you. Thanks for coming in. Let's just get Sue Gray out of the way quickly. When will we get the report?
I don't know. I'm conscious that for Sue Gray to finalise her report, you will probably know quicker than I will do, Kay, but it's important that that be allowed to continue, as indeed the PM said about the police investigation.
And it's being held up her end, but we don't have a sense of why that is.
I really don't know. I know that the government's committed to publishing the full findings of the report, and that, but the timing, I absolutely have no idea about.
OK. Did you ever go to any parties at Downing Street?
I'm not aware of any parties at Downing Street, but it's important that Sue Gray's report is allowed to be published and the police be allowed to the investigations.
But did you ever go?
I'm not aware of any parties. I go to the Downing Street regularly, things like talking about jobs, like discussing things like the Way to Work campaign that we're launching today.
We're going to be talking about that in more detail, but did you ever go to any parties at Downing Street?
Have I ever been to any parties in Downing Street? The last party I recall going to Downing Street was the celebration of when the UK left the European Union following the referendum, and that was because Boris got Brexit done. Yeah. And he will continue to deliver.
Yeah. Was there a cake?
I don't recall any cake. The last cake I remember is the one at the Sky News party with my face on one of it. I was literally pictured eating my own face, but there we go. So
there's got to be a gag in there somewhere, hasn't there? You know, we're talking about bits of cake that he potentially ate 2 years ago. We're being told that he wants to be more statesmanlike and doesn't want to be his memory to be of things like that as far as the public is concerned. Yet he intervenes airlifting animals out of Afghanistan. What did he do that for?
Well, the PM's been clear that he had no individual decisions on all those individual elements of operations. You know, as Ben Wallace, the Defence Secretary, has said, it was a military operation. Ben was in charge as Defence Secretary. And I'm conscious that absolutely people were absolutely prioritised. You know, our brave armed forces worked really hard to get 15,000 British nationals and Afghans out of Kabul in that very difficult time, and they're being rewarded for that with medals as a part of Operation Pitting.
Yeah, but he's been caught lying again because he said that he didn't have anything to do with it.
Well, the PM didn't make any individual decisions about evacuations.
Let me just remind you what he said at the time. Here we go. Yes, please.
I had absolutely no influence on any particular case, nor would that be right. That's not how we do things in this country.
Well, I think he said he had no particular influence on individual cases like Nowzad and Pen Farthing.
Have a look at this email then from the Foreign Office official reading, here we go, equivalent charity Nowzad run by an ex-Royal Marine has received a lot of publicity and the PM has just authorised their staff and animals to be evacuated.
Well, the PM has been clear in what he said. The Defence Secretary, who was in charge of the military operation, has been clear as well. The PM didn't ask him to do anything like that. You know, I'll be open with you, there's quite a lot of people will often claim the role of the PM in supporting...
Just authorised their staff and animals to be evacuated.
A lot of people will claim that the PM's involved in supporting their particular pet projects, but the PM said he wasn't involved in individual decisions. That's what the Defence Secretary, who was in charge of Operation Pitting overall, has said as well. And I think it's important the Defence Secretary is absolutely right. He prioritised people and we were successful in getting thousands of people out.
It was just before the end of the evacuation of as many people and animals as we could. It had to be authorised either by a Cabinet Secretary or by the Prime Minister.
Well, the Defence Secretary
are all over it.
The Defence Secretary is clear that he was in charge of the operation and the PM did not ask him to do that. Also, the PM's, I think, spokesperson is saying he was not involved in any individual decisions. And I'm absolutely confident that Ben will have done the right thing in trying to get as many people out of Afghanistan at that time as possible.
Dominic Dyer, who is a friend of Carrie Johnson, said to LBC, actually, yesterday, that the charity had lobbied all the ministers about the charter flight, as well as the PM's wife, and he had hoped that the PM's wife would speak to the Prime Minister. To that end, Trudy Harrison, an MP and aide to the PM, trying to charter a flight on the 25th of August, saying the boss wants them to get out.
Well, a lot of people will have been lobbied. I recall the extensive number of emails I had as well at the time. And I'm conscious, as I say, there was... I can't recall how many emails I received, but there was a lot of concern at the time about what was happening, but the PM did not get involved in the individual evacuation decisions.
Are you sure?
And Ben Wallace... I am sure, because Ben Wallace also was saying that as Defence Secretary yesterday as well.
OK. There's nobody more than me, is an animal lover. I absolutely love animals, but I would not prioritise animals over people. You are absolutely confident that the Prime Minister didn't do that?
I'm absolutely confident.
Despite all the evidence to the contrary?
Well, the evidence is clear also from the Defence Secretary, who's spoken on this at length in the last, I think, 24, 48 hours.
OK, 183 people died in a suicide bomb attack. Those who had supported Britain for 20 years were left behind. Only the PM and a government minister could make things happen towards the end. We had heard from the Defence Secretary, who had said that it was complete bollocks, using his terminology, to try to get them out. He did not want to prioritise pets over people. And then it all turned around. Dominic Dyer is saying he'd lobbied the Prime Minister's wife to make that happen.
Well, I've no doubt a lot of lobbying happened, as I explained. I recall as an MP, just like others will have done, will have had a lot of emails. But I will say that Ben Wallace has been clear. He was in charge of Operation Pitting, and the PM did not ask him to do any individual kind of evacuations, and the PM has said that as well. OK, someone's lying, aren't they? PM doesn't have a good track record when it comes to lying. He was sacked twice for lying, and he's been caught telling porkies again over Partygate. But you still preferred, or you want my viewers to believe that he's not lying and the other evidence is wrong? I think I'm not just denying that Dominic Dyer has said that people lobbied ministers. They did, and they are MPs as well.
And the email from Lord Goldsmith's office. I think that the situation is that the PM is involved in a number of different elements. He trusts Ben Wallace to run that successful evacuation strategy under Operation Pitting, and our armed forces who were involved are going to be rewarded with medals thanks to the Queen's permission for that. But overall, there are a number of different things the PM is doing really well, getting the big decisions on right, the success of the booster vaccine campaign. And that's why we're able to move forward today, the first day, stepping away from Plan B into Plan A. And I hope soon that we will continue to learn to live with COVID. And that's one of the reasons we're stepping up how we're helping people get into work through our Way to Work programme. OK, let's go back to Afghanistan. And now we've had the party political broadcast. We heard that from the dispatch box several times as well yesterday, and all of your colleagues have recounted those facts to us throughout the week. £286 million had been allocated to Afghanistan this fiscal year to try to help the people there. 145 million, a little over half, has been given so far. Why are we holding this money back? People are selling their kidneys so they can eat. Well, that will be a decision on how the Foreign Office will be allocating aspects of different funds. We continue through our foreign aid budget to also spend a lot of money through multilateral agencies. That has continued extensively, and we will continue to support not only Afghanistan but countries around the world needing our help. Having their kidneys cut out so that they can get some money so they can eat. I understand why it was and continues to be a difficult situation for a lot of people. Do remember that we've also extended a settlement scheme for people to come and live in this country. People have already arrived. I know through my own department we're trying to help them get into work, as well as the other aspects as part of Operation Warm Welcome. So I think that we are doing a lot to try and help people who understandably have endured a very difficult time when the Taliban Looking at that, resumed. Do you think it's enough? Well, I'm conscious that around the world, that different countries will continue to work together to try and do what they can to help people in Afghanistan. But ultimately, we are doing our bit with our up to 20,000 people to come into this country. But that's already happened and is separate to the scheme that was in place for people who had helped, in particular, the UK government during that time. What about what we're doing at home? Inflation's running at a 30-year high. I think I'm right in saying, according to the Joseph Rowntree Foundation, 27% of children are living in poverty. 27%, my goodness me. Should we scrap the national insurance rise? Well, the national insurance rise has already been voted through by Parliament, and it's an important way of making sure initially we support the NHS, but also that longer-term social care support, which we have committed to doing. So I think it's important to recognise, I think it's 1 in 7 of earners will be paying more than half of the levy that will be generated. So the top 14% of earners will pay over half of what will be collected through that. And actually 6 million people of the lowest earners won't be paying anything extra at all. So there's a number of ways that we're helping people. A household support fund,
getting more people into work so they'll be better off financially, helping them and their families to make sure that they can continue to have a better life and also improve their mental well-being too.
Yeah, more than a quarter of kids are living in poverty. We're not doing enough, are we?
Well, there's a statistical element that comes, Kay, with defining who's living in poverty.
What's your definition of poverty?
The connection of poverty in a statistical term is about 60% of median earnings compared to other people. I'm more focused on the material deprivation aspect. That's why we've also put in place a £500 million household support fund over winter to particularly help. But definitely the best way to get out of poverty is for people to be working. And in a household where both mum and dad, or both mum and mum, or dad and dad are working, it's very unlikely that their children will be in poverty. And that's why I'm focusing about getting an extra 500,000 people back into work.
That's just not true, though, Minister, is it? I mean, I work at a food bank on a Friday and I see a lot of people who come along and if they didn't come to that food bank, they wouldn't eat.
I'm flagging that one of the best ways is...
They work as well. Some of them have got 2 jobs and they still don't earn enough money to...
Well, where you have both parents working, it's very unlikely, or it's something like 3% chance of people being in poverty. But there's a number of things we're doing in terms of the national living wage will be going up from April. Also, we've already introduced something where you keep more of your money while you're still on in-work benefits. And those are ways that we are trying to help families as well. And the best way that I can help them is to try and make sure they get into work.
OK, and to that end, you're reducing benefits after people have been looking for work from 12 weeks down to 4 weeks. Why are you doing that?
That's not the case. What's happened is that often when people are especially new into looking for work, our regime have been to say you've got 3 months to find something that's in your sector or similar. We know there's over 1 million vacancies out there right now, a lot of them in key sectors. So for new people coming into the job centre, we can say, OK, we're going to try and help you get back into your chosen sector within a month. If you can't do it then we're saying to you it's important to get back into work. So we want you to take a job of which you are capable, because it's always easier to get work once you're in work. And so going from an any job to a better job to a career process. I'm conscious that we still have well over 1 million people looking for work. A lot of those have been doing that for over a year now. The longer you are out of work, the more difficult it can be to get back. So instead of the job of your choice, we're saying, come on, the experience you will gain will be tremendous in helping you get into work, get more money in your pocket. And not only are we delivering workers for the economy, will be helping people with their prosperity. So the big change not only is for people looking for work, it's actually about bringing employers back into the job centres and really trying to short-circuit the process of people being connected, being, frankly, a lot of matchmaking going on so that we can fill the critical jobs. People like the supply chain, warehousing are crying out for support, as well as the care sector as well.
OK, Multiple Sclerosis Society talking this morning, saying it will cause huge amounts of anxiety and stress.
Well, in terms of people with different medical conditions may not actually being asked to look for work, and that's not part of this. This is about people who taxpayers are paying week in, week out to look for work. What we're trying to do is to accelerate the process of getting people back into work and filling the critical sector vacancies, which we know our economy needs to do. Over 1 million vacancies out there. People can get work, and we will be doing our bit to make sure they get into a job. OK.
Let me just go full circle before I let you go. Prime Minister yesterday at the dispatch box said that it was right that if a Prime Minister misled Parliament, that he should step down. You agree with that?
I think what is fair to say...
The Prime Minister said it.
Well, the Prime Minister said what he said at the dispatch box. It's important to make sure that we continue to wait for the appropriate investigations to be underway, and that's exactly what we're doing.
Well, one of them's completed, they're arguing about, and to that end, we've seen that it has been given to the police. Our Prime Minister likely to be investigated by the police under caution. My goodness me.
Well, you know even more of the details than I do, Kay, on that. But I do know that the PM has said it's right that the police should be allowed to investigate. You know, they have operational independence, and that's appropriate to do.
So you believe him on that, but you also believe him that when he says that if he's misled Parliament, then he should go?
I'm saying that the PM stood up and said what he said yesterday, and I was in the chamber, and I think it's fair to say we need to wait for the investigations to be completed. The government will be publishing the full findings of the report, but the police have a separate independent investigation, and it's their choice to decide what to do. What I do hope is that, you know, by completing their investigations, we'll be able to get clarity exactly on what happened and, the decisions that will still need to be made, and we are still making in running this country, whether it's about decisions on vaccines, whether it's about the change into Plan A and where we go beyond, including, things that are operating in terms of trying to generate jobs. So that's what we keep focused on right now while other people complete their investigations.
Looking for the clarity. So say all of us. It's good to see you as always. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, Minister. Thank you.